Hi, I wanted to show you this knife that I got. This is the Smith & Wesson Micarta Large, and it's called Micarta because it has a micarta handle. But I got this knife because of its size, and I thought I could get some good use out of it. I like the appearance of it, the handle, and the fact that it's a full tang. And to me, a full tang is when you can see the tang around the handle, and on this knife you certainly can do that. And that is a fairly thick tang. I think it's about 3/16 of an inch thick. Okay, and you can see that tang all the way around the handle of this knife, and then the handle is fastened to it with the three pins there, and then it has the lanyard hold, for it. Love the handle. It's big, it's fantastic, and I'll put it in my hand in a second and show it to you. But it gives you multiple grips for this knife. As with most Smith & Wesson knives, this is 440C Chinese steel, and I'm not particularly, down on that steel. I've got other Smith & Wesson knives that are just fine, and I have no problems with it. But you're probably noting already that there's a defect in this knife, and I'll tell you about that here in a minute. But the blade is about, the cutting edge of the blade is almost 7 inches long. The entire blade from the end of the micarta handle to the tip of the blade is about 7.5 inches long. The total length of this knife is 13.5 inches, and it weighs more than a pound. I got it because I've broken several knives at the tang before, because a lot of knives are advertised as full tang and they're really not. To me, if the handle covers the tang, then you don't know what kind of a tang it is. So in my book, full tang means that tang is visible around the entire knife scales. That way you know it is full tang. And some knives, they bore some pretty big holes, or they're skeletonized in the handle for weight reduction, I guess. And to me, that's not full tang either. So this knife actually is full tang, and I wanted to use it for some light batoning and some light chopping and things like that. The blade, as I said, is 440C stainless steel, and the problem with this knife is the grind. And I'll get a little closer there so you can see it. But the grind on this blade is an extremely hollow, thin grind, and I think that was part of the problem. My son took it out in the back to chop some small pine limbs off a fallen pine in the backyard, and just after a couple of minutes he brought it in, and the edge of the blade was rippled, almost like a piece of bacon. It was pretty amazing. I tried to straighten it out, and of course you can see where the chip is, where the blade just kind of crumbled. But anyways, I was kind of surprised at such a heavy blade that edge was such a thin, hollow grind. And other people have commented on it and said, hey, this knife is for just cutting, and for cutting flesh, and for skinning and that kind of thing. And I kind of thought for a little bit, and if I need a skinning knife, I'm not going to choose a knife that weighs more than a pound and is 13.5 inches long. So looking for comments on that. Anybody who has this knife, how it's worked for you, what you use it for. I don't think this would be my first selection for a skinning or just a cutting knife. At over a pound, you would think that this knife would be good for other uses, like light camp use or light woodworking use. The best part of this knife, as with most Smith & Wesson knives, is the sheath. It comes with an all leather sheath. They're fantastic. I really like them. It's heavy duty, put together well. It's got the Smith & Wesson logo embossed on the leather. It even has the logo on the snap there. It's got a large belt loop. Okay, really thick, good quality leather. I know that a lot of people don't like leather sheaths because it has a little hole in the bottom there. I don't know if you could see it for drainage. But a lot of people don't like the leather sheets because they get wet, and then your knife gets wet and they don't dry out too well. But I just like leather. I know about that, and I've sprayed mine down with some silicone and so on and so forth to keep it very water resistant. But I just like leather. I'm a sucker for leather. So this is a really good sheath, very good quality. You can see how the strap there is, the retention strap is riveted right on. You're not going to lose that strap, and it holds the knife pretty well. This knife handle has a lot of different, you can see the size of it there in my hand. I don't have very big hands, but that's a huge knife. You can hold it close to the end like that. Okay, you can see all the room I got up at the front of the handle, which I thought I could use that for chopping, but not going to happen with this knife. It's not strong enough. The normal grip is up there. Put your hand right in the middle there. You got plenty of room at the bottom, still plenty of room at the top. Okay, and kind of a multi-purpose grip there. You can also put your index finger on that front choil, put the pit of your thumb there up against the top guard, and that gives you a good grip if you had to do some finer work with this knife. I like the thumb ramp. It's smooth. It doesn't have jimping on it, and I prefer it not to have jimping. I just don't like jimping. I got plenty of control without the jimping, but it's got a nice thumb ramp. And again, look at that tang. I mean, that is a thick blade all the way around that knife, all the way around those scales. And so you would think that you could do something a little bit more with this knife than just skinning an animal. I don't know why you'd want to carry a knife this size just for skinning. So let me know your comments on that. It does kind of look like a little buoy design, doesn't it? It's got the clip point with the false edge there on it. That the false edge is thinned out at the top. It's not sharpened at all, but I guess you could sharpen it if you want to. But for camping use or bushcraft, I don't think you'd really want to do that. So there's a knife. I got this on Amazon. I paid about $32 for it. That included shipping, so it was a good deal. But it was a good deal, but bad steel. Look at that chip. What I did with that chip, I tried to fix the ripple in the blade, and it chipped out. And I just filed it down a little bit, and I sharpened up, where that chip is. So I still use it and still kind of play with it, but it looks kind of bad. But that's it. That is the Smith & Wesson Micarta large knife with sheath. Cyclist 1222 out.